Before you can have a good understanding of what access is about, it is important that you understand this word database. I decided to divide the words into two so that I can be able to break it down such that you would understand. Now, before you can understand what database means, you need to understand what data is, and at the same time understand what base is. So merging the two words gives you database, and that will give you a better view of what we're saying. Now, data, as far as computers are concerned, is any kind of unprocessed information that gets into the computer. And so looking at it broadly, we're saying anything that anybody stores in a computer is data. We're also saying conversely that any other thing you store in any other location for the purpose of future reference is data. So we're thinking at school or at offices where you see people piling up a whole lot of files and documents inside folders and cabinets. All of those are data. You would hear people use the term important data. Oh, we are gathering data about all of this, we are gathering data about all of this. Now, all of such information, either it's on a computer or in a file locked away in a cabinet, that is data. And when we talk about a base, we're looking at the location for the data. So we're then saying that in the case of a data that is stored in a computer, we can say that the computer becomes the base for your data. Conversely, when your data is stored in a cabinet, in a folder, in a file, all of such mediums become the base for your data. So when we now take this a bit further, we're then trying to link this to how Microsoft Access operates. Microsoft Access essentially is it's simply a database application that is used to create databases of different types. So we're saying that in as much as you're able to store information on your computer, there has to be, or there is a need to store all of this information in such a way that one can easily have it finely organized and easy to access. That is where your database application comes in, and that is where Microsoft Access stands out. You might not really get a better picture of what we're trying to say, and so let's just go down to a whole lot of things that we do on a regular basis that will give us a better idea of what we mean when we talk about a database. Are you with me? Beautiful. Now, every single one of us has a handset, and whenever I want to make a phone call, the first thing we would usually do would be to go to the address book, type out the name or the first few letters of the name of a person, and then we dial. Right? Now, every contact on your phone is stored in only one location, and that location is what? Your contacts, your address book. In the phone, your contacts are not saved or stored in your messages. It is not stored in your music folder. It is not stored in your applications, but in your contacts. We're then saying that the fact that it is stored in your contacts makes it so that the database for contacts or phone numbers on a phone is the contacts or the address book of every phone. Are you following? So we're then saying, going further, that we're talking about the database for your messages will be your message folder. The database for your images will be your images folder. The database for your music is going to be your music folder. The database for your videos is going to be what? Exactly, your videos folder. Now, getting the idea. Okay, let's look at another scenario. Every most schools that I've been to personally, okay, I'm looking at this from a personal experience. Most schools I've been to would have or always have this method of keeping all of their information in files, talking about students' results, students' data, whenever students' information generally. All of such information would always be kept in documents and files, which could end up becoming very, very, very enormous. Now, because all of this information are kept for years, there's a tendency of one of three things to happen. One, it gets old and begins to wear and tear. Two, there could be a fire outbreak and such documents get destroyed. Three, the documents could be stolen. Four, the document gets messed up. Now, imagine that all of such information we see, both in schools, in government establishments, where you see piles upon piles of paper that is really, really, really uninteresting to search through. Imagine that all of such information is kept in a computer and then managed by a database application. Access as an example. Wouldn't that make life easy? Now imagine that, okay, using the example of the phone, imagine that you had to, before making a phone no, a phone call, you bring out a very large diary and you begin to search. Assume that you probably have 1,000 people as your as people you would like to call, and you have their numbers written on pieces of paper. And so you want to look for a name, you begin to flip through each page of the paper after each page of the paper. Imagine how long and boring it's going to take you to get to that person. So we're then saying that you have a database makes life much easier. Now looking at some other examples of places where databases are used, for some of us who are the computer nifty guys, we all use social networks like Yahoo, like Facebook, Google. Now each of these service providers on the internet there allow you to join them by means of a registration process in which you're required to enter your name, your email address, and basic information about you. Now all of this information, you do not write them on pen and paper. You type them on your keyboard onto their website, and all of that information gets sent to a database, which essentially is going to be a computer that is running a database application that would keep managing all of such information that millions of people all around the world keep sending. So imagine that these guys now decided or had to keep all of this information on pen and paper. Oh my god, I just can't begin to imagine how messed up it's going to be. And so databases are very, very, very important to the process of any organization or group. It is undisputed. Okay, you cannot dispute that it is too important to be ignored. And so what we are going to be doing is that we're going to be seeing how we can actually use Microsoft Access to create interesting databases. We're going to see how everything works to create impressive ones. Are you with me? All right, my mouth is watery. I hope yours is too, because we're going to learn a whole lot. So, as this series unfolds, we're going to be looking at how we're going to use Microsoft Access to work with database objects. There are several database objects that we're going to be using. Don't worry about the term objects, I'm going to break it down much later. But keep in mind that these are the four basic items I'm going to be covering, which is going to be tables, queries, forms, and reports. I might say something about macros at the end of towards the end of the series. I'm not making a promise, okay? But I promise you that these four objects are going to be explained and explored extensively. And so as you pay attention to how it flows, you would find out, like I've mentioned, that Microsoft Access and database creation as a whole is quite fun and quite easy to handle. And once you're able to do that, believe me, you're going to rock. So I hope you're going to fasten your seatbelts as we're going to start flowing through Microsoft Access in a bit.